Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So with week 6 now in the books, we see an end of the undefeated teams. The Eagles and 49ers both handed their first loss. And now what we're going to do is take a look at the televised games here in the UK coming up in week 7. So Thursday night football sees the Jacksonville Jaguars facing off against the New Orleans Saints. I do see this as a big game for the Saints coming off the back of that loss to the Texans. I think it is a must-win for them in what's looking to be a very competitive division. The Bucs are looking quite a bit better than we probably thought they were going to be at this stage. And obviously the Atlanta Falcons also are vying for a position in that division. They also have the Rams and Commanders who are looking strong that could potentially challenge for wildcard positions in the NFC. So I think this is a big game for Derek Carr and the Saints. The Saints did move the ball well against the Texans in their Week 6 loss, but they didn't really convert the yards to points. The Saints' run defense is brilliant though. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher yet so far this season, and I don't see that changing on Thursday night against ETN. Having said that, ETN is coming off big back-to-back 2 TD games, so he will be feeling very confident going into this game against a strong Saints defense. Jaguars were always in control of the Colts game, but the Colts were coming back at them in the second half. But the Jacksonville Jaguars defense stepping up big and getting some big turnovers in that game. I think potentially this could be a bit of a defensive field goal kind of game, and it'd be interesting to see what Groupie's confidence is like after that 2-miss game in week 6 against the Texans. I think potentially Kamara now on his return, he's had a couple of games to settle back in. He's going to be a big weapon in this offense, and they're already using him quite a bit. I think potentially he could have a bit of a breakout game here, and I am going with the Saints to marginally take this one 17-16. Now what a blockbuster Sunday night is going to be. The early game here in the UK, the 6 o'clock kickoff, is going to be the Detroit Lions going into the Baltimore Ravens. Now the Lions are looking great so far. I did say I felt earlier on in the season the NFC was just between the 49ers and Eagles, but I'm starting to believe in the Lions, and I would say if anyone's going to challenge these two teams in the playoffs, the Lions are putting themselves at the top of that list at the moment with their performances. Jared Goff has been playing brilliantly so far. I saw quite a lot of that Bucs game, and they were quite dominant in the game. Unfortunately, Montgomery went down injured. He will be out of this game. Look for Gibbs, the rookie, coming back from his injury to get a lot more snaps. They didn't really get the ball moving on the ground last week, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do on the ground against the Ravens. But obviously St. Brown is looking very good in terms of receivers for Jared Goff. The rookie Laporta is also looking really good at that tight end spot, and he's got various weapons in this passing game, and he's looking very comfortable behind that offensive line. Let's go over to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's looking equally as good, and he finally looks like he's got a good mix between rushing the ball himself and being able to get the ball to the receivers. Obviously take away that one game against the Steelers where none of the receivers were catching the ball for him. But obviously he's got his trusty tight end in Mark Andrews. Zay Flowers is having a decent rookie season. And then obviously you've got the likes of Bateman and the experience of Beckham in that offense. The London game against the Titans, the score probably flattered the Titans a bit in the end. The Ravens absolutely dominated that game, and they are looking very strong in the AFC. The Ravens have only had one game this season that's gone over 50 points. I'm taking this one to go over 50 points too, because both offenses are showing they can move the ball, but I am going to go for the Lions to come out on top of this one with a 31-27 win. Now the 9:25 kickoff here in the UK sees my Chargers go up against the Chiefs, and what a matchup this has been over the years. No surprise that Sky decided to go with this game to show in the UK. Out of the last 9 matchups between the Chiefs and the Chargers, only 2 of them have been decided by more than one score. Obviously Herbert started his career with a game against the Chiefs where we came down very close and lost by a field goal, which seems to be the way it's been in the last couple of seasons. But Herbert equally does have his wins against the Chiefs. And in this game, the game line has the Kansas City Chiefs 5.5 points favourites. Now, obviously, you would take the Chargers plus 5.5 given how close these matchups have been over the years. I think let's not get carried away with the Chiefs so far this season. Yes, they've probably had excuses. That first game of the season with Kelsey out, obviously if Tony could have made a catch, they would have had the win over the Lions. But apart from the blowout victory over the Bears, they haven't looked great. Against the Jets and the Vikings, obviously big referee decisions came out in those games, which ultimately gave them the wins, and they really didn't look too dynamic offensively against the Denver Broncos last week. Equally, the Chargers dropped to 2-3 with that Monday night loss to the Dallas Cowboys, and all games this season so far for the Chargers have been decided by one score, and Brandon Staley's had some very questionable decisions again. I really don't know if that play at 4th and short late in the game against the Cowboys to throw it to the end zone is the right call there. Let's hope this game does turn into a shootout and a battle between Herbert and Mahomes, and I think look for Travis Kelce and Keenan Allen both to put up big numbers in this game. I'll have to take the Chargers in an epic here, 28-24. I think either way, this is going to be a very close game and a very exciting game that a lot of UK fans are going to like to see televised here on Sunday night. Primetime game Sunday night is an absolute epic. Obviously it starts at like 1:20 in the morning here in the UK, but I think if anybody's got it in them, they'll be staying up for this one. It's going to be an absolute blockbuster. The Eagles hosting the Dolphins, the two teams with the most yards so far this season, and Jalen Hurts going up against Tua Tagovailoa. What a game this could be. Let's start with the Dolphins offense. So against non-divisional opponents, they've put up 36, 70, 31 and 42. Tyreek Hill even being out injured in some of that game in week 6, he still managed to put up 163 yards and a touchdown, with Waddle also seeing a season high 7 receptions. Defensively, I still feel the Dolphins could be quite vulnerable to a high-powered, multi-dimensional offense such as the Eagles. 4 turnovers for the Eagles was the predominant reason they lost to the Jets in week 6, and I think this will be a bounce back week for them. I'll throw in a bit of a bold prediction here that AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill between them will have 350 yards and 3 TDs. Look out for that one because I think they're both due big games. Dallas Goedert has been more involved in the last couple of games for the offense, and that would be another weapon that Hurts can use in the passing game. But equally, DeAndre Swift, after having that breakout game a few games ago, hasn't looked great in the last couple of games, and I think maybe Gainwell will get a bit more action in the backfield this week. Can't see anything other than a shootout in this game, and I think there could be maybe one big defensive play, a turnover, that ultimately decides this game. I'm going to go for the Eagles, 35-31 in this one. Finally, Monday Night Football sees the 49ers looking to bounce back from their loss to the Browns, going up against the Minnesota Vikings without Justin Jefferson, obviously. And I think really 49ers come in and get the win. There's a few question marks over the injuries to Trent Williams, McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. There is potentially scope for at least a couple of them, if not all 3 of them, to be ready for Monday night. And obviously the difference in this game, if C-Mac's out there or not, could be huge. Either way, I think the conditions against the Cleveland Browns didn't suit Brock Purdy, and obviously the Browns defense had a massive game against them. 49ers couldn't move the ball at all, but I think against this weaker Vikings defense, look for Purdy to move the ball. I think there'll be quite a bit of Ayuk and Kittle, and obviously, depending if C-Mac's out there or not, he'll have a big game against this Vikings defense. I don't see the Vikings being able to go toe-to-toe with the 49ers, and I've got them coming out on top of this one, 28-17. So guys, that's it for the Week 7 preview of the games televised here in the UK. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my predictions, what your predictions are, and how your team's doing after 6 weeks this season. Please give the video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.